Latin residents of a small community in Alabama say when it rains, it floods. The Shiloh community is located between Elba and New Brockton along U.S. Highway 84. Residents say flooding has been taking place. It has been constant since 2018 when work began expanding U.S. 84 from 2 lanes to 4. This has led to persistent issues with septic tank overflows and an invasion of water moccasins, rats, and mosquitoes. As a result of the flooding, they are struggling to keep up with rising homeowners' insurance, and many homes there have gone unrepaired. Joining us right now is Dr. Robert Bullard, a professor and the director of the Bullard Center for Environmental Justice and Climate Justice at Texas Southern University in Houston, and Pastor Timothy Williams, director of the Shiloh Community Center. Now, so let's talk about what are the folks in Alabama said? State officials there.
They don't want to do anything. We talked with the governor. She just didn't even want to do nothing. She wouldn't even come out. She kept avoiding my calls, and pretty much they don't want to do anything for the Shiloh community.
Let's talk about the demographics there. How many people live there?
It is 13 homes. It's 13 homes on the side that we're on, which is the Shiloh community, 13 homes. And that's how many people live on the side that's been flooded. Okay,
but I'm talking about the town. How large is the town? And what do city leaders say? What do county leaders say?
Well, we're in a rural area, which is the country, but it's county. The county wants to help, but at the same time, the county cannot touch state property.
Okay. So this highway is this is state property?
Yes, state and federal.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And so the county cannot do anything without the state allowing them or giving them permission to do anything.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, let me just break it down, Roland. I wrote a book 20 years ago, 2003, called Highway Robbery, Transportation, Racism, and New Routes to Equity. If I had to put a cover on that book today, I would put Shiloh on the cover. What has happened is that an area that is outside of the city proper of Elba. Elba is about 3,000-4,000 people. I grew up there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very segregated. And the landowners in Shiloh, like my family, have owned land out there since Reconstruction, since 1870s. What they did, they took a 2-lane highway and made it into 4 lanes. They elevated the highway about 12, 15 feet high, which was flat before, and turned the drains, the stormwater drain system, on the community. So the community now is in a bowl, and the area never flooded, but it floods now, and it's been flooding for 6 years as a result of a flawed highway, US 84, which is a highway that goes from Florida all the way to New Mexico. But this is the last leg. The only part of the highway that floods right now is Shiloh.
Okay.
And when they developed the environmental impact statements for the highway, they knew that this area would flood if they elevated the highway and turned the drains.
Nothing was done. Knew, meaning the state knew?
The state knew, okay. And the federal government, the FHWA. The highway was Federal Highways Administration, right, under US DOT. This highway was constructed under the previous administration in 2018 under the Trump administration. And it flooded for 2 years, from 2018 through 2020. It has flooded 4 years under the Biden-Harris administration. The community filed a Title VI civil rights complaint in 2022. It was resolved in 2024 by the federal government, US DOT, under Secretary Pete Buttigieg, on the voluntary resolution agreement to fix the highway. They admit that the highway was flawed and is flooding the community, okay, but they didn't go the full force of justice by saying the highway flooded, the highway flooded the community, community's houses are damaged, they're sinking, and how can you say you're gonna fix a highway that the state built but not require the state to fix the homes and repair and all the damages? That's the injustice that's going on right now.
So Pete Buttigieg was talking to ABC News about this in November. This is what he had to say.
I came here to see for myself.
Yo, I got no audio in here.
So that I can
Where are the
be
speakers?
better positioned to make sure that we can engage the state of Alabama in meeting their responsibilities to this community, and to make sure that these community members are not left behind.
So you agree that it's the highway that caused this?
I can't say anything about the investigation that's underway right now, so I gotta be color within the lines. But let me say this: we have a significant and substantial concern about the impact of the highway on this community and about what members of this community are going through. That is part of why there is an active investigation and active engagement with the Alabama DOT. The experiences of a homeowner here in this Shiloh community matter just as much as anybody else in the wealthiest zip code in America. But the bottom line is, people who live here need to be taken care of.
All right, Buttigieg also said that the residents there, they were not at fault.
One thing I'm sure of is that nobody in this community is responsible for what you all are going through. And nobody should have to live with what you all are going through right now.
All right, so y'all came to D.C. Did y'all meet with Secretary Buttigieg today?
No, sir.
What happened?
He kept pretty much avoiding us. We've called before trying to set up a meeting with him, after he came in April and the appointment was turned down. They said he can't meet with you.
Well, look, this is what's happened. There have been promises when he came in April, April 3rd of 2024.
Yeah.
He walked the community. He looked at the horrific condition. He looked at the highway up. The highway is at the level of the community's rooftops.
Yeah.
He said, this is insane. And he looked at the houses that are sinking into the mud. He watched all of that. And he said when he would go back to Washington, he was going to ensure that this community is made whole because it's not their fault. Now, the fact he's kind of quibbling about, well, we don't know what's causing the problem. But if you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that if you elevate a highway 12 to 15 feet high and turn the drains toward the community, and the community is nigh in a bowl, the law of gravity will dictate what's going to happen. You don't have to have a PhD for that. And this community has been flooded for this period of time. And even when the complaint, the civil rights complaint that they filed, it took 2 years for them to finish the investigation. So under this administration, this community flooded 2 years during the time that the investigation was going on. And it still floods. So we're talking about 4 years under this administration and 2 years under the previous administration. That's 6 years. It should not take 6 years for any community to receive funding to resolve the problem. And there's money available for that in USDOT to correct this problem. So it's not a lack of funds, it's a lack of will.
Who's the member of Congress for this area?
Barrymore. Barrymore is the member of Congress.
So Republican?
He's a Republican.
What has he done?
Well, he hasn't done anything. I talked with him a month ago, asking him what could he do, and I've been talking with Congressman Barrymore, asking him different things. What can they do to help Shiloh? They haven't done anything. Now, I can say that he brought people out. Some of his people that works with him over in the Montgomery office, they came out and they saw the problem, but they couldn't guarantee us that they were going to, get this problem resolved. And so we also have a representative.
Okay, I'm confused here.
Yes, sir.
He's a Republican member of Congress. You got Republicans who control the state. His job is to be there for constituents.
That's right. That's right.
And they say, oh, we can't do anything?
Yeah, because I asked him, I said, they also try to push off, we got to push a bill through Congress. And he was saying, that take 10 years. I said, but what can you do? He said, well, because
No. You have to push a bill through Congress to do what?
For Shiloh to get funding to help the Shiloh community. It was pretty much to blow us off.
Okay.
This is why we call this highway robbery. The fact that there's new development occurring along that highway on the other side. And the fact that even the county engineer, the Coffee County engineer, when ABC News came and asked them, did this community flood before the highway? They have maps and charts in there. We all know.
That's
I
right.
used to come out there all the time. It didn't flood.
Yeah.
And then ABC News asked them, well, why would they build a highway like this, designed and engineered so that it's so high and the community is placed in a bowl. And the county engineer said on tape that the engineers that developed this highway, built this highway, cared more about the highway not flooding
That's right.
than the community.
Yep.
So this is a dilemma that we're in now in terms of the Shiloh community. The 13 homes on that side, on the downside of the highway, basically were to be sacrificed. They were expendable. And they were supposedly be washed away and never be heard of again. But that's not the case.
That's right.
Questions from my panel. Derek, you first.
You know, as a state representative, I'm saddened by your case because you do not need legislation to bring funds to Shiloh. And my question to you is, given that this administration is about to end and another one begin in 7 days, what steps are you planning to take to address the needs of Shiloh community with the next administration, given that it started when he was in office?
Yeah, let me just answer this. There should be justice under the previous administration, this administration, and the next administration. We will continue to press the case. The fact that this highway has, in essence, performed an act of takings of this community's, of the residents' property, illegally taking the use of their property. They can't have picnics, they can't grow gardens, they can't do all the things that they would do before this highway. And so the fact that we are now here in Washington to make a last-ditch effort to plead with and appeal to the Secretary of DOT to keep his promise that he made in April and to have his legacy not be that he left office in a few days and going to Michigan or wherever he's going to and let black people drown, their homes sink into the mud, and their legacy and their history washed away. That's what we're saying. And that the new administration coming in, we will appeal to the new Trump administration, whoever the U.S. DOT Secretary is, to say that this needs to be addressed because a highway infrastructure project should not destroy a community. And that's what we'll be talking about.
And we're not going anywhere. We're not going to go home and just shut up and just let this be, because our property is historical property. It's been passed down from generation to generation, and it's generational wealth. We've had land back in Reconstruction, and this is the land that we're fighting for, because the whole bottom line is that they want our property. It's right by U.S. Highway 84, and they want us just to go away, shut up, and just let this be and give you pennies. That's not happening. We're going to continue to fight. You know, if Secretary Pete Buttigieg doesn't do anything within these 7 days, and we're here in Washington, D.C. For a final push, like Dr. Bullard said, to let Secretary Pete know that we're not going anywhere. You promise us, and we need you to deliver. It's nothing hard. All you got to do is do what you have promised the Shiloh community people, because the people betted on Secretary Pete Buttigieg when he came. They had high hopes that he would come back to D.C. and do what he told us that he was going to do, but he failed the Shiloh community because he didn't do anything. He waited months and months, waited this thing out, and then in October, we got a VRA in October, and he still sat back and waited, and he began to talk about how it's not the Shiloh community fault. And so our thing is, you know it's not our fault. We need you to deal with it before you leave.
Rebecca. I'm sorry, Teresa.
That doesn't seem like a hard ask. One, I definitely appreciate you gentlemen actually coming on. I've been sitting here Googling and researching just a bit more about your story. I do question the, I think the concerns is what are some of and maybe you already said it and I missed it, but would like for you to talk about the conditions that people are dealing with right now. And then also, are there any national organizations, taking an interest in what you guys are doing and trying to help? Because this is something that is happening presently that you are dealing with.
Well, some of the things the people are dealing with in Shiloh is the overflooding of the septic tanks. The houses are sinking, the roofs are cracking, mildew, mold. The people didn't ask for this. Their homes are destroyed. I know for a fact, if I could just talk about my home, I'm not just a community leader, but I'm one that's dealing with a home that is sinking, a home that is cracking. It's not safe. The structure's not safe. We've had contractors to come out. We've had insurance taken away. And it's been rough. Lungs infected with mildew, mold. And, you know, it's a lot. Homes been flooded. People, it's just been devastating. I mean, their homes are cracking. I mean, it's sinking in the red mud. And Secretary Pete saw this, you know. And it get emotional because, you know, we lost everything. When I stepped up to speak about Shiloh, I lost my company. I lost my restaurant, you know. Just to shut you up, you know, you got to shut up about this and leave it alone. You know, we've lost everything, you know. And it's a real fact because in Alabama, racism is prevalent. They don't hang you anymore. You know what I'm saying? They come after your finances and they say, well, we kill his finances, kill all his contracts for his cleaning business. He'll go away. But I told him, I'm not going away. I'm here until Shiloh get justice. And that's what the people are dealing with. So they're trying to shut everybody up. Now the state of Alabama is in, ALDOT is in Shiloh, you know, trying to give people pennies, trying to buy them off and everything. But we're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to fight because Shiloh will get justice.
The other thing you have to understand that anytime you have an area that's flooded for 6 years, you have subsidence, which means the land is sinking. Their homes are sinking. They are unlevel. When you have an unlevel home, your foundation is cracked. Your roofs are compromised. When it rains into the attics. The attics get mold. People breathing mold. Well, Pastor Williams didn't tell you that he has mold in his house, and when you breathe mold, the families are sick. And in terms of mold and getting bronchitis, it's not just a infrastructure problem. This is a health problem.
That's right.
It's also a problem in terms of if you can't. You get damage to your house because of the highway that's flooding, and you turn in a claim to your insurance company, they're not going to pay.
That's right.
So he's lost his homeowner's insurance that he's had for many years, didn't need flood insurance because it didn't flood.
Right.
If something would happen and it still floods, he would be totally homeless. So what we're talking about is devastation. Now, the national groups that we have on board right now is the Sierra Club. Ben Jealous is working with us on a national basis. We're having a national press briefing tomorrow at the National Press Club. The Bullard Center for Environmental and Climate Justice at Texas Southern University. We team with Sierra Club to make the issue national. This is not a local issue. As I said before, I wrote this book on highway robbery. There are case studies like this all across the country, disproportionately black and people of color, where highways have not created opportunity, infrastructure projects that have destroyed neighborhoods, communities, wealth, and inheritance. That's how it translates out, and how we are making sure that those who are in power, when we voted and elected the Biden-Harris administration, when Pete Buttigieg came in with the infrastructure law, there's billions of dollars for this kind of projects, and not one dime has been spent in Shiloh on correcting the problem as it relates to the homeowners.
Congo.
What is it that we can do, the average person who's not part of the government? I mean, are there GoFundMe campaigns? Are there petitions? Are there other things that people who are across the country who are not part of an administration can do to support this cause?
We have a GoFundMe. Dr. Bullard got up, the Bullard Center, and people can sow into the GoFundMe. They can send funds there as well, and keep spreading the word. We've got petitions. The Sierra Club has done over 5,000 petitions. They're getting ready to deliver tomorrow to the Biden and Harris administration, also to Secretary Pete. But we got word that Secretary Pete Buttigieg is cleaning up his office and he's getting ready to get out of here. You know, he's running and not wanting to help the Shiloh community because people's homes are damaged. People will have to have new homes and their health. People are mental destroyed. I mean, within 6 years, they kept getting false hope, you know, promises that people they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that, and they fail the people. And the people have no confidence in the administration. They don't have any confidence that the people are gonna come through and work for them. And that's why ALDOT is trying to move in and try to capitalize on this and take people's property. You know, like we said earlier, the property has been in our family since Reconstruction. There's a historical value there.
The other thing is the fact that Secretary Pete Buttigieg did an interview with NPR, all things considered, a couple of days ago. And it was an exit interview talking about all the things that has been done with USDOT, with the bipartisan infrastructure law, the $1.2 trillion. And he mentioned all the different projects. I forget how many thousand, 67,000 projects. And he's leaving. He's clearing out his office. He's packing up. And what we say is that there's still one project that's unfinished. Business is unfinished, and he needs to finish this before he leaves in a few days. And we're not talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars. We're talking about a community of homeowners that could be made whole and justice to be done. And we're not talking about busting anybody's budget, except the budgets that are being broken and busted by homeowners paying for loss and damage to their homes. And many of the families are on fixed incomes, and a number of them are veterans. I mean, we're talking about hardworking taxpayers who own their homes, who inherited that property, if we want to keep that property. That's what we're talking about. It's not just talking about a highway and flooding. This is talking about a destruction and wiping away an entire community that has deep history and a legacy of transformative wealth passing on. That's what we're talking about.
All right, then. We will reach out to the Department of Transportation to see an answer. The bottom line is they are there until 11:59 a.m. Next Monday. And we'll see what they say. I sent Pete Buttigieg a text message. We'll see if he responds as well. So, gentlemen, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now, we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.